Kaitobi and Professor Ruth Hall, among others. Professor Hall of the Institute of Poverty, Land and Agrarian Studies, or PLUS, spoke to our parliamentary reporter, Lukani Kalata, about what this critical role entails. Let's listen in.
Professor Ruth Hall from the University of the Western Cape, enjoying a rare moment of solitude in her garden. Barely 48 hours after President Cyril Ramaphosa announced her as part of a 10-member advisory panel on land reform. It's an issue that's close to her heart, having spent the last 23 years researching, writing and teaching about it.
Our history means that there's been an intergenerational inheritance of privilege by some people because of having had access to land. Even for those of us who no longer are farming, we might not be on the land, but there has been an inheritance of privilege, while for others, the reality of dispossession means an intergenerational inheritance of deprivation and poverty.
Now, alongside peers, including advocate Thembeka Kaitobi, Nick Serfontein and Bulelwa Mabasa, she hopes to play a part in undoing the wrongs of the past by advising government on how best to empower South Africans through land reform.
Over the past 24 years, government has had quite substantial powers to enact land reform and has failed to use those powers. There are substantial mandates and powers within the Constitution, and government hasn't used those. So I think that our panel's responsibility is to guide the state and to nudge the state in a more constructive direction. And the fact that we have very diverse perspectives within our panel, I think, is going to be a strength. So I feel quite hopeful.
Professor Hall also anticipates the panel will face some challenges, such as dealing with the prickly issue of expropriation of land without compensation.
Parliament will make the law. Parliament will decide whether or not to change the Constitution. Our panel's role will be to help to interpret the law and to provide policy guidance.
The panel is expected to work closely with an interministerial team headed by Deputy President David Mabuza. Lukhanyo Kalada, SABC News, Parliament.
Self-confessed members of a gang called SVK at the troubled Boitumalong township of Bloemhof